Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, it's another day, and we welcome you once again to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey. Welcome aboard.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Everybody, welcome to the VOP this morning. That's the breakfast show on Voice of the People Television. And as the case may be, today is also the 7th day in the month of August, Women Crush Wednesday, and it's also the day 7 of the nationwide protest of #End Bad Governance. So just join us as we actually bring to your table this morning fascinating and interesting topic of discussion.
Well, David Edwin saying good morning to you wherever you're watching us from. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. And as always, we are here to serve you the very best way we can serve you. And we trust that you are having an amazing day already, if you haven't. But then again, we bid you welcome to VOP this morning. It's a Wednesday and the 7th day in the month of August 2024. So much to serve you this morning. But we would urge you to be part of this conversation. And how best would you do that? Go straight to our YouTube page in the comment section. Let your voice be heard there at the comment section, as we would definitely be reading out those comments and views of yours in the course of the show. And of course, on all of the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. So let's have this conversation together.
Oh, well, the federal government has come out to say, well, the Immigration Service, Nigeria Immigration Service, have come out to say that those that are sponsoring the protest, or those that sponsored the protest, are on a watch list. And some Nigerians are asking, are they the only ones you should be watching? There are sponsors of terrorism acts within the country. Some of them, names have been released, and we haven't heard anything as regards prosecution. So, what exactly are you watching?
Are we really supposed to have sponsors of the protest, given the fact that the cost of living in Nigeria is something that no one actually wants to talk about? Because as the case may be, we are having multidimensional poverty in Nigeria, as the case may be.
Well, the federal government did say that certain Nigerians in diaspora are sponsors of the protest. So, for any protest to be successful, there has to be some sort of money, all right, to facilitate things. So I believe that's what they're talking about.
But just know that a hungry man is an angry man. That's actually how I say it.
Are we still going to consider the activities of the northern youths that came out to protest as an act of hunger? That's another thing.
Quite an interesting one.
Quite an interesting one indeed. Well, let's dive straight into the papers, and we'd like you to come along with us. We'll be going into the papers shortly. When we come back, we'll be looking at the purported march past, that's what I choose to call it, purported procession, rather, yes, purported procession of protesters past Wike's house in Port Harcourt. I would also be analyzing the #End Bad Governance protest as demonstration hits day 7. Will there be continued protests across Nigeria? We'll wait to see. Don't forget, click on the subscribe button on YouTube, Voice of the People TV. David did mention that already. And on other social media platforms, VOP TV Live. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be going straight into the papers. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People TV, and we're moving straight down to the front pages of the national dailies. And before us this morning, we have the Daily Trust. We also have the Daily Independent. We have the Guardian and the Punch newspaper. I pray time will actually permit us to, look at all those national dailies before us this morning. And I would like to start with the Punch newspaper that have its banner headline to be Russian flag, FG probes for Northern political bigwigs. Russian flags, FG probes for Northern political bigwigs. And this was what Mo was rightly talking about earlier. He said, what about the protests happening in the north? We have some youth in the north waving the Russian flag. And some of them were even chanting, Russia, you're welcome. Some of them have some write-up that reads, we need help. Russia, please come. We are Nigerians and we need help. And, and all that. The writer to that banner headline reads, influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. Influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. FG deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders, protests, arrowheads, disown Russian flag wavers. FG deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders, and protests, arrowheads, disown Russian flag wavers. And just beside the nameplate, we have another headline that reads, CBN OK's Unity, Providus, and Major. SEC reviews next week. CBN OK's Unity, Providus, Major, SEC review next week. And that is on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. 1 trillion naira spent to fight insecurity in 6 months. According to report, 1 trillion naira spent in 6 months. And you can get that story on the page 30 of the Punch newspaper. David will tell me why I giggled when I actually read that anyway. And then we have another headline just beside that to be reps fail to effect 50% pay cut. Reps fail to effect 50% pay cut. That is on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Varsity is mobilizing unqualified graduates for NYSC. And that is a report according to JAMB. And we have a pictorial where we have the service chiefs. And they're just there. We have beneath that other headlines that reads Naira crude sale yet to happen. Operators. Naira crude sale yet to happen. That's according to operators. And that is also on the page 30 of the Punch newspaper. 4 suspected cultists nabbed for killing Ogun Baba. 4 suspected cultists nabbed for killing Ogun Baba. And the last but not the least of the headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning is import duty waiver on rice. Orders begin next week. A report from the federal government. We have an interesting headlines here on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And Mo, did you get the second one that reads reps fail to effect 50%?
Oh yes, quite an interesting one indeed, I must say. Because they by themselves came out to make that announcement that they will be effecting a 50% on their salaries. Some Nigerians lamented that, oh no, it's not about your salaries, it's about what you collect, your office running cost. That's where the money is, and other allowances. Why don't you cut that one? Well, and then we talked about how much their salaries are. Exactly. Some say it's 800, some say 600.
We're yet to know.
Case may be. And a 50% pay cut would bring it to either 300 or 400,000 naira, as the case may be. But they have also come out to report themselves that they were unable to effect the salary pay cuts because of bureaucracy. Yes, bureaucratic bottlenecks in the implementation of that intention, because it was an intention.
So it's more like a statement, not a commitment.
Well, the commitment part is what we haven't seen yet. But the statement has been made. Will it be? It was supposed to be implemented last month. That's July. Yeah. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And bureaucratic bottlenecks has been blamed for that non-implementation of that one. Well, will there be an implementation next month? Should we keep our eyes on the House of Reps to see if they will actually implement a pay cut. To what end, really? When they say we'll take half of our salary and give the rest to government to help,
the money for them to cover
suffering in the land. I don't see how we can monitor the implementation of that. Because if you're getting a pay cut and you're giving the money back to the government for the government to use to augment in solving the issue of hunger, how do we monitor? How do we know what is used?
Let's not also forget that these are representatives of some constituencies in Nigeria. So they came from somewhere by some people's vote. What is happening to that constituency? Why are they not going back there to say, okay, we would monitor this by ourselves?
Funny enough, I'm actually looking at it.
Accountability and transparency is a movie that you don't want to watch when it comes to politicians.
Recall also that this statement actually came when Nigerians are of the opinion that they're going to have a protest to talk about how hunger have been prevalent in the country and how untold hardship actually is here. And they suggested that giving the 50% pay cut to actually help the government so that they'll be able to make enough provision for Nigerians. And not just that also. When they come up now to say they are failing to do this, we want to ask, what happened to the trust some Nigerians actually are beginning to have for the representatives that we have?
It's not their fault.
Don't they know about the bottleneck of the bureaucracy in the House before actually coming up to make this statement? Because it was more like a unanimous statement that they actually brought to the fore or to the knowledge of Nigerians. So why would they not think about all this, dot the I's and cross the T's before coming out to say we are giving the people 50% pay cut, even when Nigerians actually were like, we are not beggars, we put it there and all that.
David did say something like, these representatives came from constituencies, I beg your pardon. And one would now ask, we do know that trucks of rice were given to representatives, were given to ministers. To take back to their constituencies. Some of those trucks of rice, 25 kg, bags of rice, were seen stashed away in some parts of the country in stores, waiting to be rebagged. In some of the places, they were being rebagged already. And one starts to wonder, if you love your people so much, at least the little that you've been given to alleviate their sufferings, you should be seen to be using that to alleviate the sufferings of the people, as against audio money.
Do you know what? So sometimes, honestly, right? Sometimes I wonder how this political elites do think of the people. Do you know how much psychological love that would be seen and shown by the people if a representative is standing where these trucks are being handed over to the people and not just to a local government chairman or anything, like they are monitoring it practically?
And not just people within their party.
Exactly.
From their constituency.
The community.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we are having a Naira crude sale yet to happen. And this is according to operators.
To Dangote, right?
To Dangote and all the, local operators or refineries here in Nigeria. It is actually, I don't really understand what is really happening. Today, we're getting a different statement from the government. And then tomorrow, it's more like they're actually refuting it. Because if you wake up to say we have to sell crude oil in Naira to Dangote refinery so that the cost of petrol, that's a PMS, premium motor spirit, and even diesel will reduce. Because that is actually one of the things that Nigerians are talking about, high cost of movement in Nigeria. And then now we're yet to have this happen. It's more like we need more people to be the whistleblowers, to be talking about what is really happening, especially in that oil and gas sector, so that to be able to find out what is really happening. But they told us also that statement that was made by FG, directing NNPCL to sell crude to Dangote in Naira, that would take time to happen, since crude oil that is being gotten from Nigeria has been sold to the people that needs it, up front. Like, we get this crude oil this month, but this one actually has been booked by particular people, and we need to make sure we remit to them. So it's going to take, quite and full of time for them to be able to sell to Dangote, as the case may be.
Interesting times. I would also want to react on a particular headline, but before then as well, yesterday when our crew went out to Ojota to cover the situation of the protest, even though it was rested yesterday, they were harassed by some purported government thugs, and of course close to the police around the same axis. Not just our crews, even most of the media people that were visible at the venue of the protest yesterday. So we would definitely keep our eyes even on all of those, because our correspondent, we're not stopping. We are going to give you live footages from the venues of these protests happening today and of course in the nearer days. So we just wanted to put that out there. All right, quickly, let's just react to this particular headline from Punch. That's the 1 trillion naira that had been spent from January to June. Now, according to Punch newspaper, this was this budget implementation of this particular figures was gotten by an intelligence outfit known as Beacon Consulting. And interestingly, 1.38 trillion naira has been spent in just 6 months for the military as concerning insecurity in Nigeria.
Fighting insecurity.
Fighting insecurity in Nigeria. And no fewer than 5,801 persons have been killed by terrorists within that same period.
Okay.
And 4,346 citizens were abducted in 7 months of 2024. And one goes to wonder, that's aside the over 5,000 Nigerians that are still at the IDP camps. Now, in all of this, if this amount of money, over 1 trillion naira, has been spent, what and how then should we look forward to a better tomorrow when it comes to having our representatives in the presence of the National Assemblies, the House of Reps, not asking questions how these funds have been spent? It's an interesting one for Nigerians at this point, but we really would keep our hopes alive. And,
when you say lawmakers not asking questions, I recall a video of a session at the chambers, the Senate, where the president, the Senate, the president of the Senate was trying to get the views of the lawmakers. I'm trying to recall exactly what transpired. He did say that it was on the monies being given to service chiefs, security chiefs.
Right.
And them compelling the service chiefs to ensure that those monies are used to acquire things to be used in fighting insecurity. And then it was put to a voice vote. And the nays had it. I recall that when I watched that one, the Senate president read that one twice. The first, he himself appeared shocked. He read it and he was like, I don't think you know what I just said. And then he read it a second time. And the voices of the nays were louder than the yeas. And he had to hit the gavel. And he was obviously in shock. So I don't think, if you look at that, I don't think Nigerians are ready. And by Nigerians, I mean those at the corridors of power are ready to effectively combat insecurity in the country. Because a lot of things are being overlooked.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why insecurity has thrived for as long as it has. But anyway, let's go to another paper now. There is the Guardian newspaper right in front of me. Interesting headlines from here. FARC allocation, citizens wallow in misery as governors cede duties to FG amid 5.34 trillion naira cut. Well, we've talked about that one already. And there's a breakdown there. I really like the way the Guardian breaks some of these things down.
Honestly, I do.
It says total FARC shared by states in last 1 year, 5.34 trillion naira. States IGR is about 40% of FARC allocations. FARC allocations by geopolitical zones Northwest, 1.2 trillion naira. Northeast, 807.3 billion naira. That's 807.3 billion naira. Southwest, 1.1 trillion naira. North Central, 948.24 billion naira. South, 1.84 trillion naira. Southeast, 680.59 billion naira. And then you have in H1 2024, 7.07 trillion naira was made available to the federating entities. And then there's a breakdown month by month up until June. In January, it was 1.14 trillion. In February, it was 1.2 trillion. March, 1.1 trillion. April, 1.2 trillion. May, 1.1 trillion. June, 1.35 trillion. And then it just goes on and on. 12% of world's population in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. That is a scary figure. I don't care if you say you don't believe these figures pandered by certain organizations. They're just estimates. They might not be accurate. But for these figures to come out, it shows that it tells that we should be concerned.
Yeah.
If 12% of the world's population in extreme poverty reside in Nigeria, then something isn't being done right.
We're also told about the fact that by end of 2024, Nigerians will actually be suffering from,
Might be suffering
from, acute lack of food. Malnutrition and all that. And that's as a result of the insecurity bedeviling the country. It was not attached to any disaster, natural disaster. No, there's no flooding, no drought, nothing. Just insecurity. Displaced people in Nigeria are actually already on the rise. And then children, too, are not getting enough things to eat because they are there meant to be in IDP camps. And the little that's been provided for them actually is not even that balanced to start with. And then bring it back again to the society where we don't even have the poor people again. We're not having the poorest of the poor. Because what we call poor people food, or the staple food that Nigerians actually should enjoy, is no longer within their reach. And
was it one of our guests pointed out to something? He did say that beans at a time was regarded as a food for prisoners. And truly, yes, at a time. If one commits a crime, they mock you by saying, "Oh, you will eat beans, tire," meaning you'll be incarcerated, and that's what you will feed on, just beans. But here, beans is now really expensive.
It's 10,000 naira per bucket paint. The measurement. Yeah, it's 10K now.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told him I still have a little cup of beans. He said, "What? You have gold?"
Better get it jealously.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness!
It's unfortunate.
How much is Gary, by the way? Because I recall when I was in boarding school, Gary was gold for us then.
Gary, that if you're passing the market, you can even put your hand and pick from
when you want to buy.
You just pick up.
You can't even do that.
Try it now.
That's like that one you grab is like maybe 200 naira. I'm just saying.
Now you understand that.
Oh well, some more headlines from The Guardian. Falana backs military in denouncing protesters' use of Russian flag. Heed Tinubu's dialogue call, ECOWAS tells protesters. After apology, APC to reinstate Ndume as chief whip. How loopholes in Public Procurement Act nourish graft. Nigeria, other developing countries stuck in middle income trap, says World Bank. FG inaugurates steering committee for digital free zones to boost global tech. CBN saves Unity Bank, clears merger with Providus. And opaque NNPCL and subsidized crude oil for refineries. All right, I'm just checking to make sure that I haven't left out any headline from the cover page of The Guardian. Well, those are the headlines from the cover page of The Guardian newspaper. We just might take one more before we wrap up this segment.
Okay, let's go straight to the Daily Independent, where the banner headline here reads, #End Bad Governance Protest. FG places diaspora sponsors on watch list, freezes their accounts. The writers there, use of foreign flags during protests, coup calls, capital offense. This is from the police. Who authorized lethal force on protesters will be held to account. Atiku. IGP says police military didn't use live ammunition against protesters. CSOs demand release of Lenin orders detained by security agents. Well, above the nameplates there you find other headlines that reads, Customs CG assures on drastic food prices reduction. CBN okays Providus Unity Bank merger to avert failure. And there are some pictures. There is a picture there, and of course, by the side of that picture, there are other headlines that reads, #End Bad Governance, prosecute whoever committed treason, arson to protesters' demands. PDP tells Tinubu, police will fish out mastermind of #Igbo must go, Lagos government assures. That's some good news there. Rivers APC accuses Fubara of masterminding party secretariat. And then the writers there states, state government describes accusation as baseless. Has Insurance names Puri, Hiroche, independent non-executive directors. Then there is another bold headline there that reads, to create 1.4 million jobs, FG Malls revamping Nigeria's textile industry. And then the bottom strip there, the final headline reads, nationwide protests, police confront youths as protesters attack motorists, traders in Rivers. Well, these are the headlines right there at the front page of the Daily Independent. The one that comes and strikes me very interesting is this Customs CG assuring Nigerians of drastic food supply, food prices reduction. One goes to wonder what statistics is he banking these statements on, or is he just making this statement to die down the protests? However little he can die, that's this protests. But well, this is about where we draw the curtain.
Well, before we go, the headline that reads, police will fish out mastermind of #Igbo must go, Lagos government assures. I think they should start from getting whoever was behind Lagospedia on Twitter. Yeah. If you can fish that person out and make it public, let us know that this is the individual that, because that account, I think it's a verified account.
It is.
I'm not sure. I need to check again. I need to check. But let's identify, because we've seen that in parts of the north, when people put out tweets like that, they are picked and it's put in public domain. It's made public. We see the individuals behind the tweets, and then you can now go ahead and prosecute. All right? So let's know who the individual or individuals are, and then we can have some trust. Nigerians can have some trust that you actually intend to fight those that are pushing this bigot agenda. Well, I guess that's how far we can go.
All right, let's take this very short break. When we return, we'll be diving straight to the conversation proper. Stay with us.
Voice of the People TV, reporting live on the day 6 protest of the End Bad Governance happening here in Lagos. And we are here to get the reaction of people following the Congress meeting about the postponement of today's protest, and that tomorrow will be another day of protest. However, the venue for this protest has not been disclosed. Earlier, we were at the Ganifawa Park in Ojota, but later on, the police personnel chased us to this point where we are. And we are here to get the reaction of people towards this protest and the agitation to the present administration. Take a listen.
I came out this morning finding the location, our venue where we do our peaceful protest, scanty. And I feel it's because maybe the amount of policemen here is larger than the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth day. It's much. What happened? Are they trying to help us do the protest, or are they trying to scare us? What is the problem? So right now, I don't really know. The masses cannot feel comfortable or feel free because of the fear of their life. They don't want to come out to air out their mind. So it's a big problem.
This protest has been peaceful. God who made me. This is the most peaceful protest I've ever seen in my life. Because people are at one point, they don't pass their boundary. Everybody is fixed at a point and letting their voice heard. But yesterday and day before yesterday, I've noticed that some hoodlums are coming to sabotage this protest, to turn this protest violence. Even when everything is normal and our voices are being heard, some people are coming to disrupt the protest, and the police is not doing anything about it. Public figures are not even here. Nobody's mobilizing anybody. I'm the only one that I see. Public figures, influential people are not here. Where are all of you when people need you?
My thing is for the president to come down to listen to these people, listen to the voice of the street, listen to the voice of the Nigerians, and do the needful, not just listen alone. Doing the needful for them. Yes, let them do the needful.
I think the government are not ignorant about what is happening in Nigeria. So many people are hungry. If you come out in the night, or let me say from 9, 10 o'clock, you see thousands of people sleeping on the roadside. No shelter, no food. You can't even feed with 1,000 naira. Myself, I have been looking for a job for a very long time now. Some places, if I go, they will tell me to bring guarantor, bring that. For a salary of 10,000, for a salary of 30,000 naira monthly, what can 30,000 do for you in a week? Not talk of in a month. So it's terrible. I've been coming here since Thursday last week. We began this protest, but I think some people have sabotaged this very protest. It's no longer peaceful.
So this is how we can take on the day 6 coverage of the End Bad Governance protest. We can see that at some point in time, the police personnel decided to chase us away from the original place where we are, and this is where we are at the moment. We'll continue to follow these developments closely and give you further updates as the protests unfold. Matthew Ogunswada for Voice of the People TV.
Forever, we shall always fight for our rights. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for our rights. Another challenge, another double challenge. Another challenge, another challenge, another challenge, double challenge, 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 another challenge, another challenge, another forever. We shall always fight for our rights. When I remember subsidy, once I run away, once I run away. When I remember Nigeria, once I run away, once I run away.
Oh, well, welcome back. Now, you did see videos that depicted protests in the previous days of Nigerians on the streets of Lagos protesting the hashtag hunger protest, hashtag end bad governance protest. Well, still talking about the protest. Now, the protest against bad governance and hunger, it's intensified over the past few days in Port Harcourt, and which is, of course, the home state of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Now, despite a decline in demonstrations in Abuja. Protesters in Port Harcourt were seen around the residence of Wike in Port Harcourt, and there was a report that these protesters were to invade Wike's house but could not do so as a result of the military presence at Wike's residence. But the police have come out to say that there was no invasion. There was no intention to invade, as there were heavy police presence at the residence of Wike and also his business interests. I think Hyper City. Yes, there's a business premises that belong to the minister in Port Harcourt. Protesters were seen hovering around these places. Well, Inspector General Kayode Gbetokun denied all these allegations. He also did deny allegations of excessive force and the use of live ammunition against protesters during the ongoing nationwide hunger and hardship demonstration. Now, this denial came amidst reports from Amnesty International, which documented the killing of at least 13 protesters by security forces, and viral videos showing police officers threatening to use lethal force against demonstrators. The use of lethal force. We're still talking about this, especially when it comes to Nigerians exercising their right. Well, we did see in certain parts of the north, while protesters were protesting and the police tried to barricade the road, they were hauling stones at those police personnel. And one starts to wonder, at what point do you lose patience? Shouldn't you be trained? Were they trained enough to, put down their guns and not? Should they use tear gas? Should they use tasers instead?
Or hot water. Hot water sprinkler.
Hot water.
Yeah, they have that machine. That actually, it's not really a hot water thing, but it's what they use to dispel
water
people.
Cannon.
Water cannon. And all that.
Not hot water. Be cool.
That sprinkler.
All right.
A boss.
Well, that's a conversation today. We've been joined by Opeoluwa Taiwo, who is Director, African Bridge Initiative. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Good to be here
Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
And we also been joined virtually, John Akirele, who is a political analyst. Well, let's start with you now. I heard from PH. I don't know what you were trying to say.
Yes, that's a video.
No, the video.
Okay. Well, we have. Let's start with you now. Well, let's take that video first off. Let's take that video and get perspective to this conversation. That's some clips from the protest that took place in Port Harcourt yesterday. Now, these protesters, let me come to you now, Opeoluwa. These protesters, they have defied both the governor and the former governor. Now, when they went to the government house, Siminalayi Ufubara volunteered to give them certain I don't know what to call it, maybe incentives to buy water and for their transport back home. They consider that an insult, and they basically embarrassed the governor. And here they are again. The report had it that while they walked from Choba past Ada George, got to Wike's house, they kind of gathered and some were pointing fingers, maybe telling others that, oh, this is his house, this is his house. But they couldn't, if at all, there was an intention. Well, we hear that there was intelligence in that regard, that there might be an intention to invade. But then we had a heavy police presence right there. Now, in another facility that belongs to the minister, hyper CCT something. There were also heavy presence of security personnel right there. With all this, first my concern is the heavy presence of security. And one starts to wonder if security forces are being deployed in that number to the residence of a former governor, who exactly is the executive leader of Rivers State as it stands? Is it the current governor? Or can we say the former governor still has his grip on security forces in Rivers State? I want to take it away from the protest now. Let's look at the things on ground.
All right, so thank you for that question. Nigeria is, multi-dimensional when it comes to security. We have different layers of security. When we talk about government officials, as an executive governor, you have access to the state service, security, police, and other paramilitary. As a sitting governor.
Governor, okay.
When you are living as a sitting governor, you still have access to security agencies.
A certain level of security.
A certain level. So maybe when you're a governor, you have access to about, let's say, 70%, but as an ex-governor, so you have access to at least 40 to 50%. All right, so what does that mean? As a governor, maybe you have about 10 or 20 state service around you. Then you have about 10, 30, 40 police around you, including all your aides. So when you are out, they're only securing you and your family. So that level of security will reduce. But don't forget, all of those, or most of those security agencies or agents will still be with you. Especially... So it
doesn't raise eyebrows?
No.
It doesn't raise eyebrows?
There's no cause for
But one thing that raises eyebrows is the feel of the people when it comes to APC, because APC secretariat in the state was touched. It was basically vandalized and touched.
Yeah, APC secretariat is not a government property. It is not.
But doesn't that send a message? Doesn't that send a message to the president that, look, we don't want APC in this state?
Yeah,
we know that the government, even though Rivers State is a PDP state, we've seen a tilt towards APC. We know that the state assembly, we're having conflicting state assembly. Unfortunately, they're still operating the way they are. Two state assemblies. Two state assemblies. One with
Pro
Amewule, the other Okojojombo, and one basically APC, the other PDP.
In quotes, PDP in quotes.
Well.
Because you can't say PDP now. I'll say PDP, that means they're also gone. They are goners.
Okay.
So you can't say they are PDP, but they might be PDP.
So what do you make of all of this, really?
Now, so one thing you must understand that whether it's PDP or APC, those are not government properties. We must get that clearly. And and every Nigerian must also have that understanding. So, but being that is made, as a sitting governor, you have that responsibility, political responsibility, to secure your party as a sitting governor. However, that is also limited. Okay. It is only when you're having conventions or you're having primaries within the party, that is when you can have heavy presence of security agents within the premises of the political party.
All right, then. Okay. Our producer wants us to take a voice of a journalist from Port Harcourt. Let's have that one now.
So my name is Bill Cosby Jones. I'm a journalist, a broadcast journalist in Port Harcourt. Now, listen, the protest from yesterday, I knew that today was going to be more aggressive than it was yesterday. Yesterday we had just pockets of protest here and there. But today, the organizers, somehow I infiltrated and got into their WhatsApp group. I knew that it was going to be very intense today. And so today I woke up in the morning when I opened up the studio line to get feedback from protesters. I saw a new dimension. In the past, we had protesters clustering at the Pleasure Park in Port Harcourt, the Federal Secretariat. Now, I heard report from Zoba, the women, the market women, and a large number of persons protesting in the Zoba. I got a call from Rupoko, so I knew that something was up, and it has changed dynamically. And so people from different areas in Port Harcourt started calling in, oh, they're protesting here. And all of a sudden, the atmosphere changed. Every vehicle that you saw plying the road, passing on the road, had a leaf or a branch broken and fixed in the front of the cars that passed as a show of solidarity. Those that didn't show had their windscreen had their side mirrors broken and their cars vandalized. So that was how intense it was. And before you could say Jack, we were getting reports that they had invaded the Minister of Transportation's, Minister of FCT's residence. That's Chief Barrister Wike's residence in Port Harcourt. They did not break through. They were around the house, large number of persons protesting. I don't know. There was no report of violence, but it was just protests. But large number of persons protested, and I feared for what would have happened next, because the peace we had enjoyed in Port. If anything had happened to the minister's house, I don't know if there would have been a violent response, and then everything would just go into smoke. But it was a protest like never before in the city of Port Harcourt and around the River State. All right. So tomorrow, they say they are going to up the ante. They are going to raise the bar in terms of the intensity. That's going to be ×2 of what happened today. As a matter of fact, I'm scared. I might not be driving to work tomorrow. I might just take the safest take the safest idea should be to go to the office using the public transportation system. So it is already looking very dangerous here in Port Harcourt. So hopefully we might have some more reports to give to you tomorrow, hoping that tomorrow we'll all be safe to even talk about it and laugh over it. But it's getting hot here in River State.
You have it. That's a voice interview done yesterday, actually. That's a presenter, media personality from Port Harcourt gave his analysis. Now, there seemed to be a anger towards the minister in Port Harcourt, and we saw that large crowd there. What does this portend? Does this mean that the people are tired of the influence that Wike wields in River State? What are we going to see going forward? Because that's from day 6. Today is day 7. If what the presenter did say, will materialize, then what will we see in the state? Let's not forget that a non-state actor, Asarido Kubo, did come out to say that, look, no protest is not allowed in that vicinity. But we've seen this one.
Now, one thing we must understand, there are two layers to this particular conversation. All right, so number one, we must understand that the protesters are not necessarily targeting Wike. We must understand that. So now this is the challenge. The target is that we have been to different areas of Port Harcourt.
Okay.
And the media, we're not getting the attention we needed from the government. Okay. We're not getting the attention we needed from the media. When we go to, as of today now, Wike is like a pro-tem PRO of the presidency.
Okay, so you think this is just to get attention?
This is a bid to get attention.
All right,
of the presidency.
Well, let's bring John Akirile into this conversation. John, good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation. Well, I want to believe that you have been following this conversation, how would you describe the voice recording that you heard, and then events that have been happening around River State, and basically Nigeria, if you've been following, because I do believe that you are in diaspora. By the way, John, I hope you're not one of the sponsors of this protest in diaspora.
Good morning, Moses.
Good morning.
And good morning to everyone in the studio. Good morning to Nigerians watching all over the globe. Moses, I come this morning in a very sober mood, and I'm sober because my beloved country is not on the news or in the news for the right reason again. And it's something that is really saddening, knowing fully well that hunger strike, protests have been erupted in different parts of the country, from the south to the east to the west, and most especially the north. And that is to say to you that something is wrong somewhere. And at this point in time, our so-called leaders need to listen to the cry of the people. And what are these people crying for? They are crying about high inflation rates. They are crying that the cost of governance should be reduced drastically. We cannot be in the midst of plenty, and yet we are this poor. Have you ever seen in the history of this country that any of the political class raise placards that their salaries are not being paid, Moses? Their salaries are always being paid. In fact, they even get hardship allowances. And none of them have ever raised a placard, not even a councillor. But you go to our tertiary institutions, you hear of there's no syringe. You go to educational sector, you see the high number of out-of-school children. You go to our healthcare facility, it is nothing to write home about. And so we are a good replica or an example of somebody who his father is a wealthy billionaire, and yet he's eating crumbs, even though there are loads of food on the table. And so from the issue of Port Harcourt, Moses, I don't want to, I'm really in a very bad mood, and I don't want to join issues with the politicians. I just want us to face those issues that really affect the masses on the street of Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, Port Harcourt, or Delta State. And that is the issue I want us to really focus on this morning. Leave those ones that are politicking. That can always come after this. But the real issue I think we should discuss more is what the Nigerians are saying on the street of Lagos. I've seen that of Ojota protests and other protests across the length and breadth of the country. And that is saying to you that indeed, this is not politically motivated. If I were to be the president, I would have just listened and say, if you can get a signal from the north, the same signal from the south, the same signal from the east and the west, even if the presidential advisors are not being sincere to Mr. President can see for himself that one thing is common in all of these protests, Moses, and it is that they should end bad governance.
Well, John, I would like to interrupt you there, because the protest in the southwest and has taken a different toll from that in the south, in the north, I beg your pardon, as we're seeing political undertones to protest in the north. I don't know if you've been following this on social media. We're seeing the brandishing of Russian flag in the north, which of course the federal government has come out to say that they will prosecute. They have arrested one of the tailors that made those flags, and over 600 individuals have been arrested, and they will be prosecuted, because right there in the north, it has taken a political tone. They are brandishing Russian flags. They are calling for Russia to intervene. They are saying that we are Nigerians, we want Russia. In fact, they're calling for the military to take over. That is a politically motivated protest to overturn the government, don't you think?
Moses, you know what? I think if you are a student of history, you would have understood that in the case of the northern part of Nigeria, the dynamics is always different. And this has also shown you that even the north have so many issues. And under the underlying factor of all these issues lies three things, Moses: poverty, hunger, and insecurity. If people are saying now that, because when there is protest, everybody have got an interest, either I like it or not. And so they are always looking for a vector, and the vector is a protest. Now, people have been protesting on the basis of hunger. On that basis, there's a vector already. And so other people now brandishing Russian flag, for me, that is a treasonable offense. And the state, should rise up to the occasion and make sure that they prosecute them so as to make them scapegoats even to others who will be having such intentions.
Mr. John, don't you think that the reason for this brandishing of a foreign flag is as a result of the fact that the president, during his speech, could not even, think of how to mitigate the suffering of the people by going back on some of the policies that he had actually ruled out? Remember, the people, some of them have, we are Nigerians, but we need your help, Russia. And this happened after the presidential speech.
I was coming to that before your question came up. Now, let's have a background. Why will the people even be raising the Russian flag in the first place, even if it's a treasonable, offense? For me, they are taking a cue from the likes of the other countries, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, looking at what must have happened in their own region and seeing the level of growth and advancement that they are experiencing under the military leadership. Don't forget also that these 3 peace states are from the AES Sahel states, and they have pulled out of ECOWAS.
Right.
And that is also a fault that these people are also looking at. That if we also go towards these two, but I think for me, that is a no-no. Is a no-no for me as a Nigerian. Okay. I don't want us to return back to military, but then one thing again that we must also understand is the fact that there is mismanagement, there is hunger, there is inflation, there is insecurity. And any sane country with all these 4 factors can never progress. And there will always be insurrections day in and day out.
All right, okay. We're going to take it back to the studio. And Mr. Palu, at this point, it's interesting to know that the federal government at this point is pointing fingers on several people who are the sponsors of this protest. They started with Peter Obi. Of course, they moved it to Atiku. They moved it also. Now they're moving it to people in the diaspora. There was a tweet tweeted by Festus Keyamo yesterday. If our producer is ready, let's have that tweet on the screen. He made some very interesting statement. Now, he said, even if Mr. President redrafts his wonderful speech, quote, wonderful speech, 1 million times over, those with nefarious intention will continue to poo-poo it in order to justify their continued instigation of mayhem. Their real intention is to force the hand of Mr. President to negotiate power with them. It is as simple as that. The 4 guys are the ignorance, but patriotic compatriots, social media screaming their heads off, and the robbers and hoodlums that are rampaging on our streets. Behind all this facade is a complex chess game, I beg your pardon, of power with unseen hands. Now, let's take it up. There's a part where it interests me. The wonderful speech of Mr. President and those lines, instigation of mayhem. This is a protest not just called by one person. Nigerians are calling for this protest. Nigerians are already on the streets for this protest. Now, the president did come out to address the nation. And interestingly, from all of that, even Wole Soyinka also did mention that none of the situations as dated by the protesters was addressed by the president. Do you think that if, as it stands, government on one hand, the presidency now is saying one thing, the handlers of the president as well are saying another thing, should Nigerians hold any of these statements with any kind of strength?
All right, so when we talk about Nigeria, one thing you must understand is that there are powers within the system, and there are powers outside the system. There are games within the system, and there are games outside the system. All right, so when we talk about there's a difference between the government and the administration. They are not the same thing. The government is continuous. The administration is time-bound. All right. So the administrations of Nigeria is what? Every 4 years. But the government is what? Is sacrosanct. All right. What does that mean? Soldier go, soldier come. Barracks will always remain. So, as at the last protest, NSAS, that particular NSAS protest was directed against the brutality of police. But however, that particular protest should have encompassed a lot of challenges within the government policies and programs against the people of Nigeria. But that particular protest was unable to achieve that. The only achievement was that there was what? End to the SARS. So after there is end to the SARS, what happened to hunger? Hunger remained. So hunger has been in the land before Tinubu came in. Hunger has been in the land before Buhari came in. All right? So what does that mean? There are premises to all of these challenges. It's not, we are not ending an administration. We are saying end bad governance. And in fact, for me, that particular title shouldn't have been. The title should have been End Hunger. When we are ending hunger, we are saying that open the fertilizer, open the agri sector, remove every import duties. Mr. Kwelu, when it comes to food.
I'm going to ask you to...
No, hold on. Now, one thing you must also understand that when there are protests, there are people that work underneath the protest, fueling the protest. We must never shy away from that. Whether I am in government or I'm out of government or I'm against government or I'm for the government, it doesn't matter.
But looking at the way
there
things
must be people fueling the protest.
Mr. Abolua, looking at the way things are in Nigeria now, the untold hardship that Nigerians are actually passing through, do you really think that Nigerians need someone actually to fuel them, for them to come to the street to let you know that one tuber of yam now is approximately 8,000 to 9,000 naira? One bucket of beans is 9,000 or 10,000 naira. Some people tell you 10,000 naira. Bucket of gari now in Nigeria is equivalent to, a gold dust. Are we really expecting people to sponsor this, for people to come up to talk about how they are feeling at this point in time, Mr. Abolua? Government
is government. Politics is politics. When we come to protests, all of us, we are all hungry, right? Every Nigerian as of today is hungry. It's just that everybody has some layers of hunger, right. All right? But there's multi-dimensional poverty in the land. There's no, in fact, even a government official now is having challenges. Different government officials are having challenges. Now, one thing you must understand, even the police that are carrying guns, they're having challenges. As of 2 months ago, I said it in this particular studio. I had a program in a particular local government in this same Lagos state. And the policemen, officers, were sleeping on the floor. So are you saying that the challenge is only with an average Nigerian? There's challenge even within the military,
but even within the police. You know that the police.
So the police are also hungry.
You know that the police and the military are not expected, according to the constitution, and
to
according
protest.
to their mode of to join the protest.
But they're also hungry.
Now, bring it back again to the table of discussion. Were you of the opinion that some people are actually there sponsoring or fueling the process? Now, Mr. Abolua, in Nigeria today, we have inflation rate very high. We have in Nigeria today over 200 million people in Nigeria. Only 5% are those that occupy the political elite. We have like 30 or 33% to be the ones on the labor force, and other ones are being left to be the ones that provide for themselves as regards their SMEs and all that. And we have the MPR rate to be at 26.75%. Meaning that all these people can't even find a way to get money or loan to sustain themselves without paying high interest rate. Bring it back again to the fore where we Nigerians, we don't, like additional studies, it said Nigerians provide virtually everything for themselves. Don't you actually think that the moment Nigerians start looking at the moment the political elite start looking at them, being our own employees in the government space, that part is when we're going to actually get it all right? Don't you actually perceive that to be the right way things should be?
Now, talking about government, I'm talking about protests. Protests in every nation. Look at what happened to Kenya and other countries. What happened to Kenya? There was a particular finance bill.
Yes.
All right? So what happened? The citizen, especially the young one, came up immediately against that particular bill.
Are you saying that the government...
Immediately. And what happened? Ruto did what? Reversed that policy immediately. So one thing we must understand is that for us to be effective, even as citizens, we must what? Prompt when it comes to protest. Don't wait for 10 years before you protest. Don't wait for Tinubu or Buhari to have left government and wait for the next government that does not favor you before you have your protest. So protest should be what? In fact, I'm even advocating that protest should be what? Sectorial protest. We should have what we call sectorial protest, sector by sector. Let's have a protest this month for Agric. That this, and another thing must also sound very clearly here is that when we are protesting, especially the elites that are leading the protest, they must want agenda for every protest.
Nigerians have 15-point agenda.
What are the agenda?
For this first one was as regards the fuel subsidy. We also have the high electricity tariff rate that Nigerians are actually paying, and we have so many of them. In even now that we have a student loan being also passed as an act, and I hope you know that VCs are also planning on imposing 80,000 naira on Nigerian students. These are people that cannot even afford on their own to go to school. Now, Mr. Bolo, we have 15-point agenda by protesters in Nigeria. It was being rolled out, it was being read to the public, and they also sent this to the government officials before the protest actually, began on the 1st of August.
Now, based on what I've seen and what I've read and what I know vividly, we must understand that for me and for some people, there's no way I can be part of that protest and at the same time understanding that the gladiators are part of the people fueling the subsidy riot in Nigeria. And you are telling me that the number one agenda of the protest will be what? Fuel subsidy. That is callous.
But you know that
right.
the challenge
do you know someone saying
that?
Do you know saying that? You and I, we're not even benefiting from subsidy.
Yeah, we're not
benefiting. So who am I to not be protesting against the subsidy?
Mr. Bolo,
the subsidy is actually even for my own favor.
Bring it back again to Nigeria, whereby when we're paying subsidy in Nigeria, the pump price stood at 250 naira when we're paying subsidy. And then, with the statement that subsidy is gone, when it was made, the fuel pump price increased to 600. Some quotas are selling 700. The president says the fuel subsidy is a way or an avenue to run Nigeria to bankruptcy. But we have Wale Edun telling Nigerians that we're still paying 5.4 trillion, which is higher than the 3.2 trillion we were paying initially on fuel subsidy. Can you juxtapose this to know why Nigerians are saying that bring back the fuel pump price to what it used to be before now, since we are indirectly or directly still paying the subsidy price?
As at 2015, as at 2012, there was a protest in this Lagos.
Led by the president and some other elites against fuel subsidy removal.
Now, against fuel subsidy removal. Yes. I was in Abuja then. I was working at the head of service. And I said it vividly that these guys are not saying the truth. I said it. I said, I know most of these guys protesting, that they're not saying the truth. That what Jonathan is doing the right thing at the right time, but they're not saying the truth because the man is about to remove subsidy. And they were working against him removing the subsidy. Now the same game is not playing against them now. So you can see, even as assuming I was in this studio, speaking there, you say I was speaking for Jonathan. But this time around, I'm speaking again, you say I'm speaking for Tinubu. Listen carefully. The area and the arena of subsidy is very sacred. An average man must not be pushed on the street protesting against that subsidy. The gladiators are benefiting from that subsidy, and it must be removed. All right, there's no going back on subsidy. It is gone.
Let's get John's view on this. John, what's your take on the conversation so far? Do you think this protest was late in coming? Do you think Nigerians should be concerned about subsidy removal? Seeing the impact it has had on the price of fuel that has continued to go up, in spite of the fact that landing cost is about 1,000 naira, over 1,000 naira, but pump price is about 600, 700 in some places. And some Nigerians are saying subsidy is still being paid, though government is saying that a subsidy has been taken out. And the Minister of Finance did say that, he was caught on tape, saying that subsidy will go up 5.4 trillion naira in the coming year. Wow.
Moses, you see, this is what you have when the government is never open, transparent, and accountable to the people. Had it been that we have a transparent governance all along, every Nigerian would have known the amount we are paying for subsidy. And so at this time of the year, that we are hearing 5 point something trillion and before 3%. So there's discrepancy even as to the amount of money we used to pay for subsidy. That has not been cleared. And so for me, Nigerians can rise up at any time they feel that the policy is against them. But what I think this administration should do, most importantly, is to see how they can cut down drastically the cost of governance by 80%. Moses, our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before he became a president, had his own private jet already. And so I would have expected somebody who really wants the interest of the masses at heart would have said, oh, there's no need for you to buy a presidential jet. I have my own jet that I can use across. Don't also forget, during the time of Guinea, it was this jet of our president that went, to pick up that of the Guinea president. So I think he's a worthy man already. So he does not really need Nigerians well to survive. And so all of these things should, cut down cost of governance drastically all across the board, from the presidency to the last of the list. Look at the number of cabinets that you have. How can we, make some cabinets and make them more effective? Two, Moses, is that this administration should be able to be transparent and accountable to the people. Now, you have said we are not paying subsidy. Subsidy is gone from the day one. Agreed, it's gone. That people will start feeling the impact of subsidy. Till now, people have not felt the impact, even at the grassroots. Now you have said that more states have received more money in terms of FAC allocations. Now, how has that more money to states,
Sorry, John, let me interrupt you with this. Let me interrupt your train of thought now. So just put this forward. Okoluwa Taiwo, with us in the studio, did say that Nigerians are not benefiting directly from subsidy. Do you share that same view, or do you have a contrary view? Seeing that in some parts, in almost every part of the world, governments subsidize activities, subsidize health, subsidize fuel, subsidize electricity, subsidize a lot of things.
Moses, every man is entitled to his own opinion.
What's your opinion?
And I respect his own opinion. For me, I feel we have never benefited all along, not even for day one. Why? Because if you ask an average man on the street, he does not have an answer for you. Why? Because he does not know. And that's why I said the government must be transparent. Let us know Moses, how many liters do we even import? We don't know. How many liters of crude do we consume as a nation? We don't know. And so I've said it times with that number. A country that does not have statistics, or that has statistics and is not showing to its people, is a shady country and is a shady system of governance. And with that, people will not trust you. And so when you come out and tell them, don't worry, subsidy is gone, we'll bring palliative, people will not trust you. Why? Because you have not shown transparency in your own dealings. So for me, I think this government should understand, if you have said subsidy is gone, let's have infographs. Subsidy is gone, this is the amount of money we are saving. This is the amount of money that goes to the different states. These are the infrastructures we are doing. These are the timelines. These are the companies that handle this project. This is the bidding process. Make things open and transparent, that an average man on the street can get access to this information. And by so doing, communicate with people. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while he was a governor of Lagos State, I know him to be somebody who talks to the people oftentimes. How come he's not the president and we need to protect before he can speak to us? So I want a president that can speak to Nigerians every 3 months. This is what we are doing in agriculture. This is what we met on ground. This is where we are. This is what we are doing. And so people get to be informed at different sectors of the economy and what the government is doing to ameliorate the process and to help them do well. People have complained about hunger. What are you doing in terms of food security? I've said it times by Moses that during the Uncles Borrowers program, we have expended millions of naira, and yet there's not even a farm produce that we can be proud as a country that we are self-sufficient in terms of production. The effect of those policies then that I've been clamoring for since 2019, 2017, 2018, now we are still having the backlash of those effects now. And so if that is not corrected now, we'll still have backlash in later future to come. So for me, governmental policies should be discussed with the people. There should be a transparent process, and our government officials should be accountable to who elected them. By so doing, we have more trust. We can put efforts together and make Nigeria proud again.
All right, lack of trust.
I'm going to quickly just take it over from here. Mr. Okoluwa Taiwo, I'm going to ask you again. You did mention some few minutes ago that the people are benefiting from subsidy. Maybe in one sentence, you want to explain how you believe the people are enjoying are benefiting from the subsidies gone statement, because it is very clear. A lot of persons would tell you that that statement seemed like something you possibly never thought of. Transportation, when it comes to goods and services, is hinged on all of this. And as we speak, Fina did mention a few minutes ago how much of food prices has gone up. So maybe you just help us with, in one sentence, maybe.
Now, for me, I've said it clearly that when there was subsidy, I was not benefiting. You were not benefiting. Every Nigerian were not benefiting when there was subsidy. And now that subsidy is gone, we are still not benefiting. So it's the same grammar. So when there was subsidy, we were not benefiting. I was not benefiting. All right.
So don't you think that's enough call for the people to protest, to return back?
Now, and when the subsidy is now gone, also, I'm not benefiting.
When you say
now, when you come out to say you are protesting, that subsidy should be returned. At which expense and at whose gain? Is it to my own gain or to the gain of the gladiator? What Nigerians want to understand.
Also put this in perspective.
Okay, can I give
how much does it cost you to move when subsidy was there from?
Yeah.
How much was that in Lagos here from Sele to Oshodi? How much does it cost?
You say 200, 300.
How much do we do?
200, 300.
How much does it cost you now from Sele to Oshodi?
From Sele to you say 300, 400, 500.
No. Now bring it back again to when subsidy was there.
Yes.
We can move tubers of Korean doya, that's 100 tubers of yam from the north to maybe from Benue State, for example. Masinachi served in Benue State. And tubers of yam could easily be transported from Benue State down to Enugu State. And they calculated the money to not to be up to 300, 400 naira per tuber. But now I hope you understand that a tuber of yam now from Benue, put the transportation cost and everything, from Benue State to Enugu State now stands at a price of 9,500. Are we still not benefiting from when we're buying fuel in Nigeria at the cost of 200, 250 naira?
160 naira.
168 or 160 per litre.
I'm very excited at that very route you went through. You must understand there are various indices that determine the price of a commodity. I will not sit here and be supporting the fact that we want to reverse the fuel or the fuel subsidy. Now, one thing I must say clearly at this junction is that if today Mr. President reverse the subsidy, the price of commodity will never go down.
Are we still not paying?
We must understand that. And we must also understand that.
Can we tell ourselves the truth?
Now, the truth is that.
Do you think subsidy is still not being paid?
Now,
another compare London cost and the pump price.
Now, another thing we must also understand is that there are a lot of game around subsidy. It's possible that subsidy is still in process underground. And that is why you can see, come to my own table, that whether there's subsidy or there's no subsidy, it's not to your own advantage. As a Nigerian must understand that. So,
at this point,
if you said there's a 15-point agenda, the number 1 point agenda for me should be what? End hunger. Hunger. No, see, when an average man is on the street
when you say
and you are protesting against subsidy, that you don't know the genesis of the subsidy, and you don't know when it was removed, or you are not sure whether it was actually removed, according to what Wale Edun said, mistakenly on air. You are not sure whether it has been officially removed or it was politically removed. If you are protesting on that, then that such a protest has been politically motivated.
Let me read out the demands of the people for us to actually understand. Extract of our demands, according to Nigerians, reverse petrol pump price to 100 naira per litre, and combat insecurity and hunger. Close all IDP camps and resettle the campers. Total electoral reform and an independent probe into the electoral budget of 355 billion naira. Immediate release of all NSAS, #NSAS protesters still in detention. Implementation of living wage, minimum wage. Okay, compulsory free education from primary to secondary school, education grant at tertiary level, not loan. Children of all public office holders must attend public schools in the country. Government must patronize made-in-Nigeria goods. Transition to a unicameral legislature, judicial and constitutional reforms is a must in Nigeria. These are the demands of Nigerians. Are they asking for too much?
They're not asking for too much. Federal government cannot guarantee free education from primary to secondary.
I hope you know that all oil producing
Let's go back to our state. Go back to your state and hold your governor accountable when it comes to free education. I go back to my state to hold my governor accountable. In Lagos State now, from primary to secondary, in Lagos State we are enjoying. Why? We are not paying any tuition fee. All right. But other states, they are paying and they are not even getting the result of what they are paying. So is that the problem of Mr. President?
You did mention.
I told you what happened in 2012. I told you that these guys that were protesting, I was speaking against them in Abuja. I said, I know all of these people. What they are saying is not true. Even though I know they are Yorubas like me. But I said it clearly then. This same time around, I'm also saying there are a lot of demand. We are demanding from President. That is not his job. Let's go back to our state and meet the governors. Let's call a spade a spade.
Mr. Polua, at this point, I would like to stay on some of the statements you've made here. On this table, you did mention that the people should protest for hunger, not just for subsidy. Now, some few hours ago, we did see the Controller General did say that prices of rice or foodstuff really, will go drastically down, and he did make that statement clear. His statistics are quite interesting, maybe based on the fact that there will be tax reduction or no tax at all on some of these foods. But here's the thing. What exactly are these protesters demanding for that seems outrageous? They did make mention of insecurity. Now, do you know that as at this morning on the Punch newspaper, there was a headline that states that Nigerian government from January to June has spent over 1 trillion naira fighting insecurity. And till date, we still have about 5,801 Nigerians killed in 7 months. About 4,348 citizens have been abducted in the first 7 months of 2024, the same year that we have over 1 trillion naira spent in fighting insecurity. Service chiefs were called a couple of days ago, and they were told that they should do more. Isn't this a reason enough for the protesters to go ahead with their demands of the 15-point agenda that they've set aside what a lot of the political elites are saying that they should shelve their sword at this time?
Yeah, so for Mr. President, he has done well by speaking on the third day that the target was 10 days.
Not addressing anything in that particular agenda by the protesters.
Now,
he has done well in that.
Now, when you are having a 15-point agenda as protesters, and you're expecting me to speak directly on it within 3 days, if I'm the president,
you were given.
I will not do
you
that.
were given a month of notice, even if you were the president.
With the 15 agenda,
you were given a month's notice.
No, the protest came.
You
and
said
brought
subsidy is gone in one breath.
Mr.
Now, we bring it to perspective.
Now, one thing we must understand is
it that difficult to return back to subsidy? Because when he said it, let's state it clearly, when he said it, he was clearly of the notion of the fact that he believes that this subsidy is being taken by some few Nigerians. At this point, Nigerians are even suffering the brunt even more. Is it so hard to return back what he said?
We also need to add up the fact that fuel subsidy is gone because Nigeria wouldn't want to go back.
Maybe
we're
Mr.
yet to find out where is the money that we are now getting from that fuel subsidy in Nigeria, because we're not really seeing it.
Can we have your response?
Now, when we talk about fuel subsidy, my other colleague in diaspora has spoken clearly on that. We must understand that government has never been truthful to us. Government has never been plain.
Isn't that worthy enough to call for this protest?
No. Now, what we need is to understand and tell the government that in 1998, in 2024, there are two different ways of running government. In 21st century, data is key. Give us data of how much we are getting from not paying subsidy every 6 months, and tell us which of the sector are you channeling each of these figures to. So when we have those conversations,
none of these
the protest will not. It has not been done yet. So
and that is the reason for this protest. Let's also put that in perspective.
That is the reason for the protest. But that shouldn't say that the protesters should be asking for it to be reversed.
Let's get back to John Akerele now. John, the president in his speech talked about a few things that he's doing, that his administration is doing to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians. And he mentioned the provision of CNG kits, CNG buses, as part of the things that his administration is doing. Now, I emphasize the word doing because research showed yesterday, actually, that CNG kits has largely not been provided to commercial bus drivers. CNG facilities that government purportedly established in certain parts of the country are not operational. And so how is this really alleviating the sufferings of the people? Should Nigeria wait for CNG? Does CNG affect every individual? And the personal research that I did, not every vehicle can be converted from fuel to compressed natural gas. There are specific vehicles that can be converted. Some vehicles may not be able to be converted. Where does that place the Nigerian?
Thank you for that question. And before I respond to your question, let me quickly get back to my senior colleague in the studio, Mr. Okpayemi, where he says that we are enjoying good and free education in Lagos. But then I think I would ask him if he can take a tour all through our primary schools in Lagos State. Look at the state those schools are. And then if he can beat his chest and say, yes, this is the school that can allow my word to go. Or even if the son of Mr. Governor Sanwo-Olu can attend such a primary school, then can we say we have a school, even though we say it is free. The standard of what we have in terms of education in Lagos is something that is second to none. Also, must don't forget that there used to be a school feeding program. School feeding program was under the ABC administration. Where are we when it comes to
Well, we're having an interference and it's distorting your audio. Let's take a minute and rectify that so we can pick everything you're saying. We don't want to lose out on anything you're saying. I think there's a possibility that okay, let's go on with the. Please go on with your thoughts.
Okay, so what I was saying is there used to be a school feeding program under the ABC administration. And that was during the era of February. And now the school feeding program is a thing of the past. Moses, for every economy that works, people always think, how can we connect our agricultural sector to the manufacturing sector and to the consumption area, where you can link it. When people eat food every day, Moses, you have healthy children. You raise healthy children who can concentrate in class. Why? Because their tummy is filled up. Also, you are creating jobs for chefs and cooks. You are also making sure that the farm produce that comes from the farm are harvested and there's no loss. Why? Because it is fresh from the farm to the kitchen, to the table, and it's consumed. So people are eating fresh food. And also, you have created a long channel of jobs to people. And if you see that you have unemployment on the these people know all these things, Moses, but the only thing lacking is the political will for them to say this is what we should do. Mr. Kwame was talking about the governors, that we should hold the governors accountable. Moses, let me ask you, out of the 36 states of the Federation, how many governors are standing on Tinubu's mandate? Over 20 of them are standing on the mandate. So if you have 20 governors who are standing on the mandate of Tinubu, the 20 states, are they a state that you can point to and say this is an exemplary state in terms of leadership to other states? The answer is no. And so we must come to that point of saying we as leaders, either as a governor, as a president, or as a local government chairman, or as a councillor, have failed Nigerians. You have failed the people all across political parties. And so we must come to that point and take responsibility that we have failed Nigerians. But however, this is what we should now start doing in terms of putting Nigeria on the right track. First, let there be accountability and transparency. Two, Moses, is the fact that this administration and the previous administration tend to reward people with bad habits. Don't forget also, Moses, that there was an issue of palliative that was converted into a birthday gift by one individual who is not this same APC administration. Can I shock you, Moses, that this same individual that used palliative meant for the people as a birthday souvenir gift was also rewarded with a higher appointment? And then you are telling me now that we have a same government. Does that mean sanity to you? So it shows that when you reward impunity, you are telling the larger population, do whatever you like to do. That is what is happening in Nigeria. But for me, to Mr. Kwame, I respect you so much and I like your opinion, and you are entitled to your opinion. But let's not forget that Nigeria belongs to all of us. And if we want a Nigeria that can work for all of us, we must come to the round table and have common discussions with a common goal.
All right, thank you very much. We understand that Mr. Fubara, Macaulay Fubara, is joining us all the way from Port Harcourt.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear us?
I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay.
All right, the question is, well, we do understand that you are a media personality, and we'd like you to let us into the situation of things in Port Harcourt right now. Going by what transpired yesterday, what is the situation currently in Port Harcourt?
As I speak to you, Port Harcourt is at peace, although there was some form of, should I say, mini violence that took place in some areas of Port Harcourt, like the town exits, Churchill area. Also, the east-west road around Obirikwe area, there was also some form of violence, but I think the police was able to handle it peacefully. Now, around the other George axis, where you have the residence of the former governor, who happens to be the seven minister of Abuja, we had a lot of crowd surrounded his building, chanting that Wike must go, and also...
Was that yesterday or today?
That was yesterday. Okay. So far as of today, I have combed the Rumola and Boba axis, I have combed the Wuji and East West Road axis, and protesters are not yet out. Okay. But we have the presence of police officers around flyovers and major junctions. You know.
Now, quickly, do you think the protesters had an intention of attacking the residence of the minister of the FCT? Were they deterred by the security agents?
No, that may not be that may not be correct. If you say so, that may not be correct, because when they came, they didn't throw stones, they didn't throw bottles. There were no form of serious violence apart from them surrounding the building and then chanting that Wike must go and then end bad government. There was no form of repel from that of the police. Okay. That is stationed in front of his building. And so if you say they had any wrong intention, they would have started attacking the police officers, because the crowd was more than, I can tell you that the crowd we had there would have overpowered the police personnel that were stationed there.
So does this in any way speak to the fact that the majority of Riverians are tired of the Wike influence in the state?
Well, when it comes to politics, you never can tell, because you see, politicians are so corny. Sometimes you may say, okay, yes, Rivers people are tired of Wike, but again, somehow, some other person may come to say, oh, these persons were actually sponsored to come and display this act. And so I cannot tell you for sure that a lot of Rivers people are tired of him. But what I can tell you is that Rivers people are tired. I may not say a lot of them or majority of them. Wike has his faction. That of the serving governor also has his own faction, you know. But people are tired of Wike and his leadership style.
All right, Mr. Macaulay, looking at the people that we have on our screen now, the multitude, according to what you say, that came out yesterday, are you of the opinion that Nigerians are tired of being confined to a particular place for them to get their voice being heard by the government? Because we learned that it's supposed to be at the pleasure park. So how come they are no longer at the pleasure park during the protest? Are you of the opinion that the people are tired of being restricted to a particular space for the protest?
Without being told by a prophet or a traditional doctor, which is popularly known in Nigeria as native doctor, it is visible to the blind that Nigerians are tired of the hardship. Pleasure Park is just an arena where people go to chill and relax after the day's job. Now, protest, if you go to Pleasure Park and gather yourself, it then means that you have not come out for protest. You have only gone to Pleasure Park to go and chill. You don't expect people to gather there and say they are protesting. No. These persons have to leave Pleasure Park. Pleasure Park is like the starting point. It's just like when you say, oh, let's do what we used to call road country in those days in primary school. There's a starting point, and then from that point, you move to another point. On the first or second day, they moved from Pleasure Park, which is on Aba Road, down to the government house, and they were received by the governor. And so, you telling people to come to Pleasure Park and gather, that is not protesting. They have just come to enjoy themselves. And so these people have to walk around the major roads of Port Harcourt City.
All right, one more question before we let you go.
Yes.
One more question before we let you go. Do you, was there a halt in commercial activities as a result of the protest?
Yes, as of yesterday, the banks on that east-west road from Obirikwiri down to Rumokoro and then to Elios, the axis, all the banks were shut down.
Okay.
On the Kwere Road, the banks were also shut down. There's a popular junction that is called Ikoku Junction. That's where they sell all the major car parts. Some shops were open, but 70% of them were shut down because they were scared that it could escalate and turn into violence, and then they would lose their goods.
Okay.
You know, and then around Oil Mill axis, I wasn't there, but there were videos that circulated that I saw the video. I watched the video, but I wasn't stationed there. That business people should not come out. Business people shouldn't open their shops for today, because if you open your shop, whatever you see, you take it like that. This means that you don't have to come out because they may vandalize things, they may steal, and then they may be so aggressive. So for now, I think business is about 50-50. You may just open your one eye and close the other eye.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Fubara Macaulay, for coming on the program.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
That is Wike's house. One of the criminals, university criminals' house. Look at their houses.
All right, that was voices of protesters yesterday reciting the old anthem. We saw that happen. I don't think Nigerians have fully embraced the new anthem. Anyway, that's another conversation. Well, let's get your concluding thoughts now, and then thoughts as well.
Yeah, Nigeria will get better, but whether you're in leadership or you're out of leadership, we must understand that you say the truth, you speak the truth, even when it does not augur well with an average Nigerian. Subsidy is gone, and it has to be gone. If anyone wants us to go back to subsidy, he or she should provide the alternative sources of funding such subsidy.
All right. Well, we are left with a few minutes. Thank you very much. Well, some Nigerians will still argue with you on different areas. I'm still going to stay with the CNG provision, because the president did point out that that is one of the things his administration is doing, but we're still not seeing it. How long will Nigerians wait to see the impact of the policies that the government has put out? Well, John Okerele, let's get your concluding thoughts on the conversation today.
All right, Moses, just like I would say that Nigerians have the right to protest, and that I say no to violence, no matter how little it is, and those who are found to be looting should be dealt with. But most importantly, those who are looting our treasures should also be able to face the wrath of the law.
All right, before you go,
that bill is on the increase. It's on the run. Until now, we're not able to get in. So I think they should also look at our own looters who loot our national treasure, because that is what is bringing this protest.
Looters are looters.
If that is not corrected, we have many more protests to come. God bless Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria. Looters are, looters are looters. But before you go, Okwaluwa did say that, he did allude to the fact that this protest probably came too late. Nigerians should have protested each administration that wasn't doing the needful. Am I correct? Am I misunderstanding you?
Absolutely.
Great. Do you share the same view that this protest came late? Should Nigerians have protested against the previous administration? should Nigerians have protested long before now? Should we have sector-by-sector protest going forward?
Well, Moses, that is a tricky one because Nigeria is a multifaceted community where we have people along the line of religion and ethnicity. And so that because of that diversity, you might not really have that agreement on protest at different times. But what I think we should do is that sectional protest. You can protest about power outage, protest about food, protest about inflation. With that, we can highlight all of our problems and see how we can start dealing with them one after the other to make sure that we have progress and we're making progress day in, day out.
All right. Thank you.
4 years, we would have seen the number of growths and revenue that we have recorded as a people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're happy he shares your
that's
All right then. We must say a very big thank you to you gentlemen for coming on the program. John Akirile, a journalist and a Nigerian in diaspora, and also Okbeoluwa Taiwo, Director, African Bridge Initiative. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
God bless.
Thank you for having me. God bless Nigeria.
Amen to that. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll touch on other segments of the show. Stay with us.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space. Exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills 3 things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Good morning. Well, it's time to get right into entertainment. Veteran entertainer and activist Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, has called on Nigerian youths to escalate their efforts in the ongoing End Bad Governance protest. In a recent statement on his official X handle, Charlie Boy emphasized the critical nature of the fight for good governance, describing it as a battle for survival. Despite President Tinubu's appeal in his nationwide broadcast on Sunday, protesters still stormed the street on Monday to protest. The exercise, however, witnessed a very low turnout on Tuesday after demonstrators were allegedly suppressed by security operatives on Monday. Charlie Boy encouraged the protesters to go pro-max in their efforts, highlighting the need for louder and more determined action to overcome the entrenched powers. David, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's about time, just like almost everybody's saying. The protest, it's for ending bad governance, not toppling the government. So every single person protesting has the right to do so by law, but we should also do it knowing for a fact that when we destroy properties, in the end, we're still coming to harm ourselves because taxpayers' money, including you that is destroying, it's your money that will be used to rebuild those properties that have been destroyed. So it's a good call. Every single person who's feeling the brunt at this point should, of course, take their constitutional rights by protesting as well.
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right, now all right, let's take reactions. Let's take reactions of Nigerians on a YouTube page. Let's take that one now. Let's have that one on the screen. What Nigerians are saying as regards. Well, we have Olusegun Akimbiola says Nigeria is going through trying times. Wagner and Russia, Nigeria is not your ground, and it will never be. Never. Oh yes, it will never be, indeed.
Ola Dewale, good morning, VOP TV, and greetings from Atlanta. What have we done to the Bajue career and politicians to deserve all this Babanla nonsense they are unleashing on Nigerians? Do you know in 1977, £1 is equal to 1 naira? And from Stanley or Sarobo, this man don't have. Okay, I think with myself I need to jump that.
Well, that's quite harsh.
Yeah, exactly.
Attributing that to the president, where he talked about if Nigeria is okay, nobody will carry the Russian flag.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Stanley or Sarabo did say.
We shall continue to say our truth, even if we get on DSS nerves or they get offended. And remember, our truth remains constant. That's from Ola Adewale. Abbas Abubakar, fuel subsidy costs everything. Ihediora Chukudi says that you people are, okay, but presidency and those Nigerians when the North are waving Saudi flags is not treason. Okay, he's actually telling Nigerians to also have a rethink. And Celestine Okache, please, we are dying gradually. Price of fuel must be removed. And another one from Amanze Ladia, God will bless this man. Olusegun Biola, Nigerians go better. Nigerians go better.
Somebody did say something there. If we can scroll down, he did, no, up. Well, this down and up scrolling gets me confused. Yes, that's it there. Yes, that's Oladiwale. He says, government
is shady.
Yes, government is shady, but who created them?
Yeah.
Are they not? Are they from space? This points to the people, because the people voted them into power. So ultimately, it falls on the lap of Nigerians. All right.
All right, and Amin Zeladia, God bless this man. Olusegun Akimbibiola, Nigeria go better. Nigeria go better has been the song since I was born, but keeps getting worse. And Sunday Obodo, this man, I don't know what he's saying. Andrew says, who is this? Okay, I guess those are actually reaction as regards what
all the guests
exactly talking about. All right, we have so many reactions.
Well, let's keep the conversation going on.
Exactly.
Let's keep the conversation going on our YouTube page. If you haven't clicked on the subscribe button, we encourage you to do so. It's Voice of the People TV. Click on notification so you'll be part of the conversation right here every time we come your way. Well, that's it on the show today. Big thanks to Chisom, for the entertainment stories.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, it's a wonderful day, and we'll like you to continue staying with us as we do have some more programs coming your way in the course of the program. And we'll keep our eyes on the protest. We have our correspondents on the streets of Lagos. They'll be monitoring things. We hear that the protest has been relaxed for some time, but we'll keep you updated, of course. So stay glued to your television set, your YouTube set, as we'll be keeping you updated on events from Lagos and Port Harcourt and other parts of Nigeria as well. Well, that's it on the show. Bye for now.
So this is how we can take on the